Something that really stuck with me was the polarizing statement. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that framework and maybe an example.
No, so the idea is when we describe what we do, it's really important to invoke feelings in the mind of our customers. So they don't really need to know the nuts and bolts of what we do, but they need to lean in and say, like, what is this? Tell me more. And one of the best ways to do that is to share an example of an enemy that you kind of fight against in your business as the framework for what you do. So, for example, if I was trying to sell a solution for a new kind of performance review kind of software, I would say, hey, look, we work with people like you, Mimi, who tell us they love feedback, but they hate performance reviews, right? And so what that statement's going to do is when I pick that enemy, you're going to kind of smile, you're going to lean in, you're going to be like, hey, look, what is this? Tell me more. And by the way, and if you love performance reviews or you love the thing that I'm talking about, then you're going to be repelled by that message. So this idea of polarizing messages helps you figure out whether you're on my side and want to learn more, or this is not for you and move away. So one of our clients at Salesforce was this company called Trunk Club. When they kind of pitched their solution, they would say, we're a service for men who love to dress well, but they hate to shop. Now, all of a sudden, if you're a man who loves to dress well and hates to shop, now you're leaning in and you're saying, well, tell me more. What is this thing?
And I think it immediately captures that emotion, that feeling, and you know exactly who you're talking to once you get that out. What is a framework that you think is underrated, people should know more?
One of the things I teach this has to do with discovery, meaning like, okay, let's say you're a potential customer and we're going to talk about stuff in a discovery call. What should we talk about? Like there's a million things that we could talk about. I can talk about the price, the product, the problem. And so what happens is a lot of people rush into these conversations, not being very clear on what they want to get out of them. And so when they leave the discovery conversation and need to kind of, all right, was Mimi interested in this thing? And like, did we talk about the price? And is she like, I don't have enough information to figure out, like, are you even interested or not? One of the things I talk about is, okay, I want you to be really clear going into the conversation, the types of problems that you want to talk about. So for example, if I was talking to a customer and I said, I go, hey, like, you trying to save money these days and, speed up your business and, improve customer retention, you're going to be like, yeah, like everyone does that. And that adds no value to you as a customer and it adds no value to me as a seller. But if I think about from a framework perspective, okay, what's a problem that you're likely to have, but you're not going to tell me because it's either sensitive or embarrassing? I want to get you to talk about that thing. But in my mind as a salesperson, I need to know what those things are. Like, let's say I go to the gym and I'm there because I've been married to my wife for many years and I feel like maybe she doesn't find me desirable anymore and I want to get in shape for her. So I go to the gym and that's why I'm there. How is the trainer going to get me to say that thing? Because when he asks me, like, hey, what are you here for? I'm just going to be like, oh, I just want to get in shape and stuff, right? So if I know that a lot of middle-aged guys come to the gym because of these like secrety reasons, then that's kind of where I want to drive the conversation. And the cool thing about that is once that's now out in the open, imagine I went into the gym and the trainer says, hey, you know what? I work with a lot of middle-aged guys who sometimes are trying to get in shape for their significant other, and that's okay. I'd be like, oh, thank goodness. Like, that's me, right? And so it makes it okay to talk about. So from a framework perspective, I think about what I refer to as the known spoken, the problems that customers have, that they know they have, that they, it's kind of boring to talk about. And then I start thinking about like, what are the unspoken or what are the unknown pains that are really going to add value to that conversation? But to add that kind of value, I need to go into the conversation kind of knowing what those things are. And that's the thing a lot of salespeople do not think about enough in advance.
Not doing the prep work beforehand and also getting the time to actually know the person and having that conversation. Maybe a lot of salespeople are going in strictly with a script and saying, these are the points that I want to hit, and that's it. What is a common sales advice that everyone hears that you disagree with?
One of the biggest challenges I find in selling, it has to do with closing tactics. So now we're going all the way from messaging to all the way to like negotiation, so to speak, right? So let's say we're talking about, a deal, you're thinking about buying something from me, and I say like, Mimi, is there any reason why you don't think we can get something done today? Like this is a closing tactic, right? All of a sudden what happens is you experience this sense of resistance. You're like, hold on a second. I don't like what this guy's trying to do, trying to like box me in to like close and buy something today. And even if you actually do want to buy something from me, you're going to feel that sense of resistance. And it's the same resistance, by the way, when you walk into a retail store and someone says, excuse me, ma'am, can I help you find something? What do you say?
No.
No. And you say no because what you're doing is if you say yes, then I'm giving you kind of like consent to do whatever you want, like sales stuff to me, right? So I say no to protect myself. And it's the same reason why when I ask you, hey, is there any reason why you don't think we could, get a deal done today? you kind of want to say like, no, because even if you want to get a deal done, you don't like this pressure that you're feeling. So oftentimes in sales, we condition reps to go out and kind of, try to close down the angles on customers to try to get them to commit and do things. And there's probably a right way to do that. But oftentimes, it turns customers off and makes them a lot more resistant to buying from you. So that would be my number one thing.
Really tapped into the psychology of that. Thank you so much, David.
Pleasure.